I welcome you all back to this unit number 2 of the chapter The Lost Child. The Lost Child, written by Mulk Raj Anand, and this chapter has been taken from the supplementary reader book Moments of class 9. So students, we have already discussed the unit number 1 of this chapter in the last lecture. And in this lecture, we are going to discuss the paragraph that begins at page number 3 and the line begins with as they neared the village up to page number 4, and the ending line is there was no sign of them. So students, here I have given you an outline of what we are going to discuss in this chapter. There are points to be discussed first, and I have tried to include all the relevant information about the chapter in these 6 points. Then there is the vocabulary portion, and here I have written the most important vocabulary words which we are going to come across in this unit. And at the last of this lecture, we will discuss at least 4 questions which I have written here. And these questions for our understanding, for the assessment of our understanding of the chapter. So students, let's get ready. So students, before we move on to the explanation of this unit, let us take a recapitulation of the previous unit. In the previous unit, in the previous lecture, we came to know that the child, along with his parents, was going to the fair. So students, there were many things that the child was attracted to see on his way to the fair. First of all, there was a huge crowd of people who were going to the fair. And what was so attracting about those people, the thing that the people were decently and nicely clad. They were nicely dressed. They were dressed in different colors of clothes. So this sight attracted the child a lot. When he moved on further on his way to the fair, he saw that there were a lot of shops. And the shops displayed a lot of toys. The toys that attracted the child a lot. When he moved further, he could not resist his temptation to look at the flowering mustard field, the field which was pale like melting gold. And it was in the field that the child was attracted by the flight of a dragonfly. He was also trying to catch the butterfly, but he could not catch it. Later on, the child was called on by his parents to the footpath. And on the footpath, he saw what? Worms and insects, which were coming out of their hiding places. And why were they coming out of their hiding places, students? They were coming out of their hiding places to enjoy the sunshine. This way, this child finally entered the grove where he was overjoyed himself with happiness. He was quite busy in gathering the raining petals of the flowers. Thus, by being attracted to all these sights on his way, he finally reached the fair. And let us see what happens. And the after story of this chapter we are going to discuss in this unit number 2. So students, let us discuss point number 1, nearing the village. When the child, along with his parents, reached the village where the fair is being held, the child can see the footpaths which are full of throngs. Throngs, here means group of people. Throngs here means group of people. So the child can see that the footpaths are full of throngs, are full of people. The people who are coming over to a place from various directions. The people who are converging to the whirlpool of the fair. And here whirlpool Word means center of attraction. Center of attraction. So the people who are coming over to a place from different directions, the fair for them is a center of attraction. And what is the state of mind of the child now? The child both feels fascinated as well as repelled. Fascinated means attracted, and repelled means distracted by the various sights that he sees in the fair. It is in the second point we find that the child sees a sweetmeat seller. The sweetmeat seller is the first point of attraction for the child when he enters the fair. The sweetmeat seller is at the entrance of the fair, and hawks here means sell something by shouting. So the sweetmeat seller is hawking for the sweetmeats like gulab jamun, rasgulla, burfi and jalebi. There is a crowd of people near the counter, just below the architecture of sweets of different color. Students, architecture here means stack of sweets. The sweets which were decorated with the leaves of gold and silver. When the child takes a look at these sweets, his mouth waters, and it is when he makes a bold request once again, but not with confidence. He murmurs. Murmurs here means speak something with lack of confidence. So, with lack of confidence, he makes a request. But he knows very well that his request, his plead, like before, will not be heeded by his father. Heeded here means attention. Means his request will not be attended by his father like the previous request that he made. So the child moves on without waiting for an answer. So students, the next attraction for the child is a flower seller. The flower seller who is hawking for garland of gulmohar. Child takes a look at the basket which is lying near the flower seller, and it is full of flowers. The different colors of the flowers attract the child towards him, and child feels irresistibly drawn towards it. Irresistibly drawn here means uncontrollably attracted to the garland of gulmohar. Like the previous time, child again murmurs, and this murmur is a request that the child wants to make to his parents, that his parents should buy a garland of gulmohar for him. But again, child knows very well that his parents will not buy a garland of gulmohar for him. And he believes that when he makes a request for the same, his father will dismiss his request by saying that these garlands of gulmohar are very cheap. So again, without waiting for an answer, the child moves on. So students, here we come to know about the mental keenness of the child. We come to know that the child is perspicacious enough to understand that his parents will not buy the things that he wants for him. And this is why each time he makes a request and moves on without waiting for an answer. When the child walks a little further, there is another attraction for him. And this time this is a balloon seller. The balloon seller who is standing with a pole in his hand, and a lot of balloons hanging onto the pole. The child is carried away. Carried away here means attracted. So the child is carried away by the rainbow glory of the silken colors. Rainbow glory of the silken colors means the colors of the balloons were very fascinating. So when the child takes a look at the balloons, he feels drawn towards them. And then there is a desire. And this desire is that the child wants to possess them all. The child wants to get them all, buy them all. He again makes a request to his father. But again, he knows that his father will not buy those balloons for him. He believes that when he makes a request, his father would again dismiss, turn down his request by saying that he is too old to play with the balloons. So again, without waiting for an answer, the child starts moving on. And this time, there is a snake charmer who attracts the child. The snake charmer is playing a flute to a snake. When the music of the flute falls into the snake's ear, the snake makes a very graceful movement of its hand. Students, here the author has made a comparison, very nice comparison, between the movement of the head of snake and the movement of the neck of a swan. The author wants to say, when the music falls into the invisible ears of the snake's ears are as invisible as the rippling effect of a waterfall. The rippling effect of water, of a live waterfall, is invisible. We cannot perceive it. Similarly, the snake's ears are invisible. We cannot see them, the ears of the snake. So the author has made a comparison between the invisible ears as well as the rippling effect of water, of a waterfall. The next comparison that the author makes is the movement of the snake's head. The poet says, the snake moves its head in a graceful manner. The snake moves its head as gracefully as a swan moves its neck. So when the music of the flute falls into the invisible ears of the snake raises its head quite gracefully, like a swan moves its neck. Again, the child goes near the snake charmer, but he knows that his father would forbid him. Forbid here means prevent him from listening to such a coarse music as the snake charmer is playing. So the child moves on further. So students, the last sight that the child sees is a roundabout. The roundabout which is in full swing. When the child goes near the roundabout, he finds that the roundabout is in full swing. In full swing here means in full motion. In full swing means in full motion. The child is fascinated to see man, women and children who are carried away in whirling motion. The man, women and children all are happy, all are overjoyed with happiness. They are expressing their happiness by shouting, shrieking with digi laughters. Digi here means uncontrollable laughters. So the child also gets fascinated to this roundabout, and he also thinks about taking a ride on it. With this, child makes a request to his parents. He says, I want to ride on this. He says what? I want to ride on this roundabout. But quite surprisingly, he does not get a reply. When he does not get a reply, he just turns around to look for his parents. And then we find that the child does not find anyone in front of him. Then he turns to call for his parents on either sides, but there is no trace of his parents. So students, in this chapter we come to know that the child tries to call for his parents, but there is no reply. The child looks for his parents in all directions, but he is unable to find his parents. So with this unit number 2 ends. The rest of the chapter we will cover in unit number 3. So students, it is in the last section of this unit number 2 that we are going to discuss these 4 questions that I have written on the board. And we'll try to discuss the answers of these questions as briefly as possible. So now let us move on to the first question. The first question says, what did the child see when they neared the village? They here means the child and his parents. So when the child along with his parents near the village, he saw the footpaths full of throngs, full of people. The people who were coming from different directions to see the fair. Question number 2, why did the child think that his father would say